Hello everyone, this is Maya Zahira with Psychic Protection Sanctuary, and we are now starting our Facebook Live on our Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. And I was going to do our Facebook Live outside like I often do, and it's super windy. I think there's a storm coming in, and but what that means, and I don't have my air conditioning on, so it's super hot, so I'm going to be over here sweating as we do our Facebook Live. So just a couple of quick announcements before we jump in. This is a live class that occurs every Monday in our Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. And so if you're watching this somewhere else and you're interested, you can go to Facebook, type in Psychic Protection Sanctuary, and then you can join the group. You do have to answer a couple of questions because it is a group where we do share some pretty vulnerable things, so we don't let just anybody in. You do have to answer a couple of questions, and if it's a group that is the right fit for you, then I'll go ahead and let you in. And so I invite you to do that, and I also invite you to go to my website where there's some freebies. My website is www.psychicprotectionsanctuary.com, and if you type in your email, you can get a free quiz to find out if you're vulnerable to psychic attack, and you can also get a free quiz to find out if you are an empath. And there's some other freebies in there too. There's also a link at the top that says free videos, and so you can go there and watch a whole bunch of past classes and information, get a bunch of free information there. All right, so we do have some people joining now, and that's perfect timing. So as you join, go ahead and share with us where you're joining from. And I'm sitting here regretting that I saw, oh, it's really overcast right now. I walked outside, it was really nice because it was breezy, but it's so humid. Anyway, I turned off my air conditioner, and I wish that I had not. It's Kansas weather. So my place is actually out on the Kansas prairie. You probably noticed that from some of my past videos. I like to do a lot of my videos outside. So this is our weekly Q&A. Sometimes we have a lot of people, sometimes not so many. And if you have any questions about psychic protection, you can go ahead and ask them and just type them in the comments. And there's my amazing cat who's probably going to jump from the table over to the other table behind my shoulder, so hopefully she will not be a disruption. For each of our Q&A Facebook Lives, I always have some kind of topic that we're going to cover, and so today's topic is all about my book, and I'm just going to show it to you right here. Darkness Disguised as Light: The Hidden Truth About Psychic Protection and the Illusion Matrix, by me, Maya Zahira. And I actually have not done a Facebook Live on this book. Are you gonna jump? There, she did it. Amazing. And here she is. She wants to say hello. Okay, hey. I call her Turkey. She's like a big butterball. Hey, you're gonna stay down. So now she's made a little cameo appearance. All right. No. She's going to wish that she was not in here. I'm going to wish that she wasn't in here because she's... Anyway. All right, we're going to keep right on going, and she's going to do her trick again. She's like a circus cat. So I actually have not done a Facebook Live about my book, even though my book came out. Kitesh the circus cat. Even though my book came out a couple of months ago, I think, at the beginning of the summer, and here we are in August 2018. And And I've been remiss. I've been like, oh, I want to spend our Facebook Live time talking about other things. But I realized today's the day, and one of the reasons is because for the past couple of months since the book has published, it's only been available in paperback form. But as of a couple days ago, it's now, I'm watching my cat over my shoulder. It's now available on Kindle. So you can, and you are not going to jump on my desk again. Okay, so just a little aside. If you've followed me for any amount of time, you know that I like to just keep it real, and actually on purpose. I don't try to create like perfect, slick videos because I want you to see that I'm actually a real person, and this is actually a really good segue into what I'm going to talk about here. I really want you to see that I'm a real person. You know, I sweat when it's hot, when it's August, you know. I have a crazy cat who messes up my videos. And even though the work that I do is super serious and can be very intense, I still try to maintain my quirky personality and you know, bring some levity to the work that I do. So that's why we had our little visit from Kitesh the circus cat. So I do see some people who've joined. Go ahead and tell us where you're joining from and how you're doing today. So, big announcement before I start giving you some information about what's inside the book. Big announcement is that it's now available on Kindle, and it was not before. So here's the thing. In order to celebrate the launch of it being on Kindle, I put it on sale. So normally it's going to be $12.95 for the Kindle, and now through the end of the month, so August 2018, it's actually $5.99, I think is what it is. And also, if you have Kindle Unlimited, I think is what it's called, where you can rent different, or like you can check out books, check out Kindle books, you can read it for free. So if you have that feature on your Kindle device, then you can watch it, you can read it for free. So I hope you'll take advantage of all of that. And the reason why I opted in for that option is because I want the most people possible to have access to the important information that I share in this book. So here it is again, and I'm going to start to dive in to the inside here in a second. Darkness disguised as light, the hidden truth about psychic protection and the illusion matrix. So that's kind of a big mouthful right there. So let's talk about that. Darkness disguised as light. What does that mean? So at the beginning of the book, it's not so obvious what that's about. But by the time you get about 3/4 of the way through, and definitely by the time you get all the way through the book, then you know exactly what I'm talking about with what I mean by darkness disguised as light. I am referring to entities that pretend to be something different than what they are, and that is an underlying theme throughout the book. There's actually a lot of things that I talk about in the book, so let's dive right into that. Let me think here for a second. Yeah, okay. Actually, let me take a second and talk about the subtitle, The Hidden Truth About Psychic Protection and the Illusion Matrix. So the hidden truth about psychic protection, there are a lot of things that I uncover and shine light onto about common popular beliefs about psychic protection a lot of things that are very popular, ideas nowadays that actually are not accurate. And so I give a lot of clarity to that. So that's why it's the truth about psychic protection. There's actually, I love that there's other books out there about psychic protection. In my professional opinion, when I was going through some situations of my own, those books were not what I needed. And in fact, there's just a lot of really watered down information out there. Well, there's two camps. There's watered down stuff that's all about just visualize light around you, or just burn some sage and that will take care of everything, or just think positive. I'm telling you, if you are experiencing a major onslaught of psychic attack, that crap is not going to help you. It's too late for that. You need something more powerful. So that's one camp, is like the love and light fluff and techniques that are not really effective for the really serious situations. And when you're in the midst of something, that's just not going to help. It's just not enough. It's okay for maintenance, but it's just not enough, I'm telling you. And then the other camp of books that I found when I was going through my own circumstances were, they involved pretty powerful techniques, but a lot of those techniques involved it's like I laugh when I'm going to say this because it just is so absurd, but you would be shocked how many people do this. So that's why these books are popular. So this other camp, these other techniques are all about how to summon demons for your own spiritual protection. Oh my God. I'm very respectful of the fact that we have a variety of different spiritual beliefs on the planet, and I believe in free will to choose. But I will say this, if you are attracted to my vibe and my energy and what it is that I offer, you're most likely not going to be the kind of person that's going to be summoning demons for your protection. Those folks are probably going to be attracted to work with somebody else, not me, because that's not how I roll. I think it's a very bad idea to do that kind of stuff. And I could go on a big long rant about that, but I won't. So, moving along. So, the hidden truth about psychic protection. So I pull the veil off. I shine the light on what's really not working, the techniques that are really not effective, and what to do instead. And then also the other part of the subtitle, the hidden truth about psychic protection and the illusion matrix. So the illusion matrix, that ties into the dark disguised as light part of the title. Entities who are dark beings who are pretending to be ascended masters, angels, what have you. Okay, they're pretending to be light beings, and it's a major issue. So I'm going to circle back around to that. So most of this book is actually about the majority of the book is about one very significant psychic attack that I experienced a couple years back. And I'll just say that it was so severe that I feared for my life. I feared for two things. I was afraid that I would die, and I was equally afraid that the entity that was harassing me was going to find a way to possess me. Because it did, on one occasion, it tried to tear my soul out of my body. And if you haven't had any experience like that, You are lucky. This is awesome. But just remember, with lots of different kinds of things in life, sometimes it can be hard to understand something if you haven't experienced it. So if you heard what I just described and you were like, oh, that couldn't happen, or spirits can't do that to you, I'm just telling you, you're wrong. That's the truth. You're wrong. And I'm sorry if that scares you. I don't want to instill fear. I want to instill truth. Okay, so truth. I've actually worked with a lot of different clients over the years, and these kinds of things do happen. So this book, the main part of it is about this major psychic attack that I went through, and it was what I call a multi-layered attack. So there was a minor psychic attack that was occurring, and that wore me down, and then the next wave came from a different direction, and that wiped me out, and then the next wave came from somewhere else, and then there was one big wave that came from what turned out to be a false light entity attack. And the false light entities are the dark beings that are pretending to be beings of light. So the book actually has two elements to it. There's the story part. So every chapter has the next part of the story. And then at the end of every chapter, there's the lesson aspect of the book. So I'm going to go through what some of those lessons are in just a moment. So there's actually some really good nuts and bolts information about psychic protection, and about and there's some really good techniques for clearing psychic attack as well. The book, actually, before I get into the really major psychic attack that I went through, I start off the book talking about a time when I lived in a haunted house. This was like over 20 years ago. I lived in a haunted house. Well, I didn't know that before I moved in, but it turned out to be, and I was attacked by a dark entity that lived there, that was there while I lived there, and that was kind of an intense time as well. And then I go on to share about various different spiritual encounters that I had when I was growing up, and then also in my adult life, some different kinds of psychic attacks that I experienced, including someone who did black magic against me because she felt entitled to do so, and some other negative spiritual encounters, as well as some of the really positive, beautiful spiritual encounters that I had when I was growing up. So I kind of set the stage by going over some of these things from my past, and then we get into the main story. Now, the first layer of the psychic attack that I experienced actually involved someone who was a sexual predator in our spiritual community. And so there's a chapter where I really dive into the energetics of what's happening between the sexual predator and the victim, because I was able to see that, and having that firsthand, I don't want to say experience, having that, being able to not only experience it, the encounter that I had with this person, but also to see what was going on energetically. I don't think that I could have gained that knowledge to be able to help other victims of sexual predators if I had not gone through it in the way that I did. And thankfully, it didn't go very far because I saw what was happening. But still, I had a first-hand experience. And so that's some pretty intense information that we get into in there that's the first layer of the psychic attack, and then the next layer and the next layer. Each chapter goes deeper into the story. And actually, one of the reasons why I wrote the book was because I would try to tell people about what had happened to me, and I would be like, I can't describe it in 5 minutes. I need to just write a book. And I would joke, I'm going to write a book. You can read my book later. Because like, it's too complicated. So what that means, though, is that it makes for a very interesting book. There's this whole web of these different things that happen throughout the story, and then everything comes together at the end. The story is 100% factual. All of it actually happened to me. And as I was writing the book, I found, though, that in order to preserve everyone's privacy, I did have to change everyone's names, except for my own. So everyone's names have been changed. And I also changed some details that would, if I hadn't changed them, it would have too strongly identified certain people. And so there were some details that were changed, but there were no details changed that would change how the story was unfolding. Does that make sense? So there were just a few little pieces that it's like, no, it needs to not be this, it needs to be, let's make it into this instead, in order to not identify a person. Because my personal code of integrity is such that this book is not about calling anybody out. That would not be a good idea to do a book like that, for various reasons. But I do feel like this is important information that needs to get out there. And I know that these things are happening everywhere, not just with this person, or not just with this community. It's prevalent everywhere. So basically, you take this true story, absolutely true story, and you apply it to, this could happen to you, this could happen in your own city, this could happen in your own community, and it does. I'm telling you, it does. Okay? So, let's actually, as we wind this up, because I'm going to keep it a little bit shorter today, as we wind this up, we've got a table of contents here. And by the way, I spent, a year and a half writing this book, and proofreading and editing, and hired editors and proofreaders, and because I went through, I went through these experiences, but it's important that when other people are reading it, that it makes sense, right? Because sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you think that you're being clear, and people who didn't experience it firsthand don't understand what you're talking about. So, oh my goodness, the circus cat is going crazy. So a lot of care went into this book, is what I'm saying. Lots of care into making it the best possible. So what I mentioned before is that each chapter has an aspect of the story, and then there's a lesson. So I'm going to just read off some of the lessons that are in here. And actually, as we go on through the book, the lessons begin as very basic, and then they get into a little more complex, and getting into some techniques that can help you right away if you're having some major psychic attack issues. So I start off really in lesson 1 talking about what actually is a psychic attack and how does that work. And I go pretty in depth with all of the different types of psychic attacks. including psychic attacks coming from a person, psychic attack coming from an entity, and the varieties of those. And then in lesson 2, I go into details about the different aspects of your intuition, which you actually need. You need to strengthen your intuition so that you can discern what's going on around you spiritually, who you can trust. If you start working with an angel or a spirit guide, how are you going to know if they are authentic or not if you're not really developing your intuitive skills so you can use your discernment? And as far as people that you encounter, people have entities attached to them, and so the more that you can develop your intuition, the better. Okay, so that you can use that as an extra sense for your own safety. In chapter 3, that is actually the chapter where I really get into talking about sexual predators. The book is not all about sexual predators, but that chapter is a really important one right there. Lesson 3 is all about energy cords. And you're going to learn some things that you may not have realized before about how those energy cords work, whether it's with any kind of predator or just people in general. All of this applies. Okay. And then in chapter 4, I get into the ethics of energy. So when is it okay to access another person's energy? Those of you who are highly intuitive / psychic, when and how is it okay to access information about someone else? And when is it okay to send someone energy, to send someone healing energy, to send someone prayers? There's important ethical considerations to think about, because if we're just over here pointing our finger at those people are psychically attacking, well, are there any things that you might be doing that could be out of alignment with integrity, where you might be negatively impacting someone? So we talk about that in chapter 4. And then in chapter 5, we talk about the symptoms of a psychic attack. Now, earlier we've talked about what is a psychic attack and we define it, but then, oh my God, the circus cat is... Okay, just stay, little kitten. All right. She's she needs a trapeze. She's just jumping across every piece of furniture. Hopefully she will stay put. So let's see here. So we're talking about the symptoms of a psychic attack. Earlier in the book, we talk about what is a psychic attack in general, but now we're talking about how is it impacting you. If you are having these things happen, then it very well could be a psychic attack. There are a lot of things that I talk about that you might not have considered. So aside from the obvious signs of psychic attack, like furniture flying across the room and that sort of thing, right? Stuff flying across the room would be obvious, but there are a lot of other aspects as well. Chapter 6 gets into something really important and actually pretty controversial. This topic has really pissed some people off, but the people who are usually drawn to getting this book and reading it tend to not be the ones that get pissed off. It's the others. But this lesson is all about 2 signs that negative energies are plugging into you. And I'm tempted to give away the answer, but I'm not going to. You have to read the book to find out, okay? But some of these, one of the signs that I talk about, I've taught workshops at some different spiritual centers, and it has really pissed some people off when I've talked about these signs, because these are things that have been happening at their center. And so anyway, controversial, but it's the truth. So you need to read chapter 6 to find out what these 2 signs are that negative energies are plugging into you or plugging into the group or the all the people at the event that you're attending. So important stuff. Lesson 7 gets into how to protect yourself psychically at night. So you'll learn some basics on how to fend off psychic attack when you're asleep, and that's a more vulnerable time. And then chapter 8 we're getting into more protection. So lesson 8, I talk about some different ways to tap into your personal power. So it's more than just wearing talismans and that sort of thing. A lot of times when people have been experiencing psychic attack, they feel so beaten down and they feel like whatever's attacking them is more powerful than they are. And so this is a lesson all about how you can move past that and step back into your power again. Chapter 9 is all about, lesson in chapter 9 is all about understanding and recognizing energy portals. So portals are openings where entities can pass through. So this is something that a lot of people miss. They will do all of their protection, personal protection and protection for themselves, protection all over their home, but they might have a great big portal that they're totally unaware of. So they have like all this protection set up, but yet there's like total open doorway right in their house that's still letting people in. And so I talk all about that and what to do about it. And then in lesson 10, I share a very potent and powerful and very simple technique for clearing out the real serious types of entities, and it's actually very simple. And I give step-by-step instructions for how to do that. And in lesson 11, similar, I give a different technique that's also very simple and effective for clearing out really serious issues. And then I end the book. It's 12 chapters. Lesson 12, I go in depth explaining, really putting everything together and explaining what is the illusion matrix, what is that all about, what are all of these false light entities doing, what is that all about, how is it impacting the communities, and how is it impacting spiritual teachers and individuals. So, gosh, everybody's been so quiet today. Usually we're very talkative, and I see there's people on here, but maybe, last month the comments were not working, and maybe that's the case again today. So if you have been posting comments and questions, I apologize. I have not seen them. So maybe that's happening again. So if that's occurring, I will go back and I will check the questions and I will answer in the Facebook group. I will type my answers for you a little bit later. So where do you get this book? This is for sale on Amazon. So just go to Amazon.com and you can just type in my name, Maya Zahira. And right now that's the only book that I have, so you'll see it. It's available in paperback, and it's also now available on Kindle, and it's on sale right now. So I hope you will take advantage of the sale and you can start reading it right away. So I have this feeling you guys have been posting questions and I have not been able to see any of them, and I'm so sorry about that. I don't know why Facebook is doing that. I have no idea. So, since we don't have any questions, I will go ahead and end our video. I'm going to turn my air conditioner back on so I can cool off. You all know how to stay in touch with me. Go to Facebook and join the Facebook group, Psychic Protection Sanctuary, or you can go to my website, www.psychicprotectionsanctuary.com, and there's a whole bunch of resources on there. On purpose, I spend a lot of time creating free introductory resources for people just to support everyone who needs help and to get this information out there. However, if you would like to work with me privately, there is a link on the website, psychicprotectionsanctuary.com, and I do see a limited number of clients one-on-one who are experiencing psychic protection issues. And if you come to my location, we do have the air conditioning on when you come, I promise. And then I also work with people all over the world. The majority of my sessions are actually done online over video. And I do entity clearing and also evaluation of what's going on and recommendations. So however I can be of service, very happy to do it. And I hope that you read my book. I really do. I hope that the most people possible will read this. This is really important information for everybody, even if you have not gone through any crazy paranormal activity. I think everybody needs to read this book so that you can understand what's going on spiritually in the world behind the scenes. All right, everybody, sending you all my love. Until next time, I will see you all next Monday evening for our usual Facebook Live on our Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. And it is at 6 p.m. U.S. Central Time every Monday. If you're on that group, go ahead and post your questions ahead of time, since we're not sure if the comments are working or not. And then I'll be sure to answer your question next week on the next Q&A live. Sending you all my love.